only the thinking. Thinking is different. Thinking with respect to BMI, with respect to BMI, ego, with respect to ego, that is thinking. That is the actual thinking. There also Sakshi is there. All the three levels, Sakshi is there, but Sakshi is never changed.
Nitaji, your 2 minutes are over. Gomati, are you happy with the answer?
Yeah, it's. I think some little more can be added. What she said is right. Basically, it's right, but I think a little more, maybe more. What to say? Characteristics of Sakshi can be added.
Who wants to go ahead?
That's much only my understanding.
Yeah. No, basically it's okay, but maybe you can add a little bit more to make it a little more stronger, you can say.
So
maybe the words can be changed, Gomati ji. Like Sakshi is omnipresent and omnipotent, which exists throughout, it exists everywhere.
All the time, yeah.
All the time. And
yeah.
That is not, it reflects in individual, and, based on the reflection, the Jivatma becomes, the entity, based on how the Sakshi reflects. But otherwise, Sakshi is a, what do we say, entity that never changes, at the same time present in everyone.
Everything. Yeah, everyone and
present
everything.
in everything. And that's why it's called omnipresent and omnipotent.
Yes. And even Sakshi is, in an individual, it's Sakshi, and in the overall, in everything together, it's Paramatma. It's the basic I. The I-ness is the Sakshi. Yeah. Yeah. More or less.
I wanted to add something here. Because here the word, because Gomatiji, I want to understand the question, what you have said. You wanted to know what Sakshi means. Right. So for that question, I don't think these are the right answers. Because when you say Sakshi, the witness, as we have listened, Sakshi is somebody whom we present when there was a crime. Okay, Sakshi is there always, right? But at the same time, something is happening other than regular thing. Then the Sakshi witnesses it, saying that this is not what should be happening. Like if the body-mind complex is not doing what it has to be doing, when it is not fed by the intellect from the Sadguru, then the body-mind complex acts the way it has to, because it has not got the right feed from the Guru. Then the Sakshi comes into the picture. When the mind-body complex are not working the way it has to work, then the Sakshi comes into picture to correct ourselves. Because the Sakshi is there in the background all the time. But to correct oneself is when the Sakshi will come into picture. Other than that, Sakshi is always there. Did you get what I'm trying to say? Because that is the word given to Sakshi. Sakshi means it comes only into the picture only when there is when things are not going right.
And even based on the input, he said Sakshi can also be a little not correct based on the input from the ego. It cannot be. I mean, there's contemplation that that kind of gets corrected.
Yes, the contemplation gets corrected only when it takes assistance from the intellect.
I know.
Then the contemplation comes into the picture. But the Sakshi as such is to correct what the discrimination or the contemplation which is happening within ourselves when we are taking the inputs from an enlightened person. Until then, we do not know what does this Sakshi mean, because we are all connected with the body-mind complex until and unless we've been told that there is a Sakshi which has to correct yourself.
Yeah, no, I wanted to know what was Sakshi actually, not how it works, but what actually Sakshi is. So it's like that unchanged
Sakshi is
behind the unchanged,
non-judgmental,
yeah,
non-judgmental observer.
Lalita
Sakshi
ji,
is
unchanged,
non-judgmental.
unchanged part of a thing, person, or the unchanged part, which watches the entire thing.
anybody else wants to give any answer?
Yeah, Sakshi is non-judgmental observer. Is able to tell
Witness,
about the fact how it is. It is a witness.
witness, yeah. And
All right.
Sakshi is the one the Vedas and the Upanishads keep reminding us of. Tatmavasi, that's what we are, basically.
Right, Gomati ji. I think.
Yeah, I think.
May I add something to that, please?
Yes, Dr. Vipin.
When we talk about Sakshi, the points made by my previous speakers were all right. I would just like to add that whatever she said right now, that Vedas and Upanishads have constantly reminded us about Tattvamasi. And Sakshi is the witness of your body and witness of everything in the universe. And that is why we call it Paramatma. Sakshi is also Atma. At the same time, Sakshi is God. But another question that emanates from this concept is Sakshi experienced as an object? Now, why this question is extremely important for us to understand is that because we are in a habit of objectifying everything. We objectify mind, body, intellect, and we are able to understand. But can Sakshi be objectified or not? That is a question that has always troubled. That has always troubled. And if at all, people who know, they say that the one which is seeing it as an object is the Sakshi. The one that is seeing Sakshi as an object is the Sakshi. Now that is where the dilemma starts. And I shall be very, very happy if at all the discussion could be had on this lines so that the dilemma is cleared. Thank you.
Anybody wants to take that?
Based on my understanding, whatever Guruji has taught, Sakshi is not an object. Sakshi is the subject, that is the Jivatma. The Jivatma, the identification Jivatma comes because all of us, every individual has a Sakshi, and that's a subject which either contemplates or discriminates and objectifies everything that we see around, or even we experience whatever we see, whatever we experience, whatever we contemplate. Sakshi is the subject. Sakshi is not an object. If Sakshi becomes object, then where is the subject? Because for any matter, for any contemplation, we have a subject and object. But for every individual, even though Sakshi is, we said omnipresent, omnipotent, and is a consciousness, that's a Chidabhasa, the consciousness that's available, that's there in all of us. The Sakshi is the subject. Sakshi is not an object that will, discriminate, or, if that's the object, then, who is that who is contemplating? For identification for us as a Sakshi is because Sakshi is the main subject. And that we put all of, like body, mind, intellect, everything else. But if we, if we really look into ourselves and contemplate, we know that our identification is a Sakshi, is the, consciousness. So Sakshi can't be an object.
Thank you, Mamita ji. Anybody else who wants to add anything on this one? Bipinji, is this answer okay for you?
Oh, yes, answer is very good. Very, very good answer that she has given. Absolutely. Theoretically and understandably, that is extremely, extremely logical, understandable. But the real problem arises when practically we want to experience it. Now, that is where the problem arises. That is
See,
where the problem
when we
arises.
want to experience, that means, we are moving out of Sakshi. We come out of being a Sakshi. We get
Correct, correct.
carried away by whatever we see. And then, as the Dr. says, we get our body identification is most 99.99% of the time is based on the BMI. It is not
Correct.
based on the Sakshi. Only when we, like sit and do Nidhidhyasa, like when we hear, when we contemplate, and again we keep reminding ourselves that, we are not the BMI, but we are the Sakshi, then the Sakshi, we can feel that. But I think, we need grace of Guru. We have to do a lot of tapasya to have that.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
but
Absolutely. Very well said. Very well said. Very clear explanation given there. Very good.
Thank you. We'll move to the next Purva Pakshi, Hemaji.
Yeah. How Tattvamasi is related to the contemplation?
So the question is to Pubalenji.
So how Tattvamasi is related to contemplation. So as Guruji has explained in that in this talk, that contemplation can be triggered in two ways. So the first one is from the Sadguru, which will give you that knowledge, that the practice that I am Brahman, I am consciousness. Correct? So we do that contemplation on that. And the second one is from the scriptures. The scriptures tell you Tattvam Asi. So that reflection is changing through the intellect. We have to use our intellect to keep on contemplating on that you are that. So that brings you to the vichara. And then I think that this is the contemplation. I think it's this one. By contemplating, thinking, analyzing, and then we get to know that that we are that. Is that correct?
Hemaji, are you happy with the answer?
Any other views?
Any other views he's saying?
Anybody else would like to provide answer on this one?
When Sakshi takes assistance from the intellect to think, then that is called contemplation. When the Guru says that you are Tattvam Asi, then because we've been identified with the body-mind complex since ages, and now that when Guru puts that input saying that you are that Tattvam and Asi, that is nothing but you, that Brahman is you yourself, then that contemplation starts. But when he puts in, when the scriptures and also the knowledge puts in by the Guru enters into the intellect, the buddhi, then we start to contemplate and think. And because the Sakshi has been fed with all the negativity since ages, now that when the Guru tells it who you are, why you are that Brahman is you, then we try to contemplate taking the assistance. We as such Sakshi takes the assistance from the intellect which is being fed by the Guru and the scriptures, and then contemplate saying that we ourselves are the Sakshi, other than that is Tattvamasi.
Yeah, thank you, Lavitaji. Yeah, so contemplation practice is the self, knowing self, Jivatma, from the Sadguru. That is what I think. Okay, thank you, Komi.
All right. If no other question on this one, we'll move to the next one. So I will ask the question to Mamataji. So Mamataji, in the talk 4, where Guruji talks about witness consciousness, I would like to ask you, for whom is the teaching?
Pardon, what is the question?
On witness consciousness, in the talk 4, Guruji talks about the real Sakshi, the real I and the Sakshi. I would like to ask you, for whom is the teaching?
For whom is the teaching?
Correct.
This witness consciousness is actually Sakshi trying to discover his own self. So it's basically for the Sakshi itself.
I really like that question actually. It's towards the end completely, where Guruji says, so for whom is the teaching? And he explains it. So I would like anybody else also to add some comments on this one, please.
Can you just repeat the question? It's a little.
Actually, towards the end of talk on witness consciousness, the talk 4, Guruji asked, there is a question towards the end where somebody asked him and he repeats the question, so for whom is the teaching? And then he answers that. Actually, it's valid for any of the question that's asked. For whom is the teaching?
The teaching is for the self, the Jivatma. The contemplation, the practice is for the self, the Jivatma, because it has been, because the intellect plays a mediator role, because all these years the intellect thought that I am the ego. So it was giving feed to the ego. That is the false I. But now the teaching which has been come from the Guru will go to the Jivatma, saying that you are the real I. So then the contemplation practice will go to the self, that is the Jivatma, is for my understanding.
All right. Anybody else wants to add anything to this?
The teaching is for all of us who identify ourselves as a Jivatma and not Paramatma, because with contemplation or with continuous Nidhidhyasana and realization, by asking these questions, the Atman, the Jivatma realizes that it's not it's called the consciousness, the small I becomes the bigger, or the individual consciousness becomes, the universal consciousness. So the question is for all of us. It's not who is identifying ourselves as individuals, and we don't even identify ourselves as a Jivatma. Only when we do contemplate, we start realizing that we are not BMI and we are Jivatma. But like from the teachings or based on whatever the learnings, Jivatma is also something that can become Paramatma by self-realization, and can evolve to self Paramatma. So the teaching is for Jivatma to evolve.
Thank you, Mamtaji. This is, and both Mamtajis, this is exactly how Prabhuji also explains it. The self that has identified with BMI and Chidabhasa, therefore the Jivatma, is the one that needs to be taught and to do the contemplation to get back to Sakshi. So thank you for the question. I will move to the next Purva Pakshi, Lalitaji. And the question is supposed to be asked to Mamta Hegreji.
Differentiation between Jivatma and Paramatma. difference between Jivatma and Paramatma?
Jivatma is a individual Sakshi that's present in each of the individual, each of living beings. Every living being has a Jivatma. Every living being has a consciousness. And when we evolve and, when we, like, even otherwise also many times, we relate to our children or we relate to the others' consciousness when we really deeply feel about them. So the difference is Jivatma is when, you are only limited to your individuals and able to identify that you are beyond BMI, but you are a Sakshi. But when you are able to relate to the whole universe, when you feel yourself among the whole universe and feel that, you are you are one among the whole universe and feel for the whole universe, you become Paramatma because you have that love and affection for all the Jivatmas. You evolve from being Jivatma to Paramatma. That's more of a theory because as of today, it's only the experience of only Jivatma and nothing beyond that. So maybe with the realization, you move towards becoming Paramatma when you realize the whole world is one entity and there is no separate Jivatmas. It's everybody is same Jivatma. Then you become Paramatma. Because today, we say I'm one individual and I have one Jivatma. Maybe the other person is separate, but each of this Sakshi becomes universal consciousness, and then that's identified as Paramatma. Hope I'm not sure whether I answered fully.
Yes, it's definitely true. But I was just thinking, Sakshi within Jiva is Atma and Sakshi within Vishwa is Paramatma. But does that every living being come into it is what I was just thinking. Because when we said every living
Paramatma
being
exists in every living being is what is, like, that's kind of a truth that we would have, maybe I accept it from based on Guruji's teachings. That every living being is Paramatma, but it never realizes it because of the identification, because of our vasanas, everything. Otherwise, every living being is a Paramatma. That's how even our scriptures identifies. And of course, Ishvara is a like a superpower or almighty, but in reality, every human being has that traits of Ishvara. Even though we can't say, every one of us is Ishvara, but I think all of us and the whole universe together becomes Ishvara. Because Ishvara is identified in every individual being. But we can never feel that. It's because of our vasanas and the way we are being, throughout our life. But maybe the self-realization makes us being from Jivatma to Paramatma.
No, I just wanted to add one more. Maybe Atma is the microcosm and the thing is the macrocosm. Same miniature version of what is in the small is also in the entire thing. Just smaller, like a seed version. And when we get more perfect, maybe we come to the source, the actual microcosm. So what is in the microcosm is in a miniature version in the Atma, each Jivatma. Maybe I would explain it like that because it's a smaller version of the same thing. What is in the big is also in the small piece of it.
Microcosm and macrocosm.
Macrocosm,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Gautam.
Thank you.
Thank you. And at this moment, we swap the roles. So I'll again come back to you, Lalitaji, for you to ask questions to Mamta Hegreji.
She should ask
I think
it
should be either way.
Yeah.
Like she asked me question, I guess.
Sorry, Mamta Hegreji to Lalitaji.
Yeah. Like Guruji said in the talk, Sakshi will listen to the intellect and not ego. But what we heard from Guruji's teaching is also Sakshi is the observer or Sakshi is a witness. okay, who observes everything. And if Sakshi is only an observer, okay, and Sakshi will not interfere in what is happening, okay, how it will discriminate, okay, this input is coming from ego and this input is coming from intellect, if it's only an observer.
Mamtaji, can you please repeat the question?
Okay.
Can you please?
When in the talk way, Guruji says, Sakshi will listen to intellect and not ego based on Sadguru's teachings. But Guruji also says Sakshi is only an observer. Sakshi is an observer who is present throughout, throughout. Like continuously is there, continuously Sakshi is presenting if we make him an object. So Sakshi is there throughout all our experiences. And so in that case, how it will interfere and how it will discriminate that this input is coming from ego and this input is coming from intellect.
Okay. So this can be only known when the Sadguru gives the actual teachings. Until then, we do not understand because Sakshi cannot differentiate. When Sadguru or the scriptures come into picture, only then where the Sakshi takes the input, because when it takes the assistance from the intellect to think, then it comes the contemplation. Because Sakshi is always an observer, but the intellect will take its role. Intellect plays a role. And as long as the intellect is taking a role, and when the thinking of the intellect is present, it is called discrimination, which is right and wrong. All these only we will be able to understand when the Guru comes into the picture. So as long as Guru doesn't come into the picture, as long as the Guru doesn't give the right input, the ego takes the role. And because ego takes that assistance from the intellect, we think that we are the body-mind complex, BMI. So I feel that when the Guru comes into the picture, only then the intellect will give that feed, that assistance to the Sakshi, and then Sakshi will be an mere observer. Until then, the Jiva doesn't know that there's something called Sakshi, because the Jiva is more attached to the BMI, is per my understanding.
Thank you, Lalitaji.
Hari Om, everybody. My laptop is restarting. So the next question and answer is, anybody else wanted to ask any question or add any input on the previous one? Okay, if no further comments on that one, we'll move to Mamataji for the question.
Kaumaraji, in this talk, Guruji says about constant changes and a changeless one. And our body, which we feel that it is the same thing, though we feel it's the same thing, there's a constant change over there. In fact, even organs, in a stipulated period of time, it changes completely. So my question is, if the whole organs and all are completely changing, then how is it that if anyone is having any disease like diabetes or anything, is still continuing with the same thing? So are we actually changing or not changing? Because if it's changing completely, the organs and all are changing, then disease should come to us, right?
Right. I hear your question,
How was that
Mamtaji.
the same diabetes is suppose take an example of diabetes or cholesterol or anything like that. If we are having for the past 10 years, we are still having it. If the organs are completely changing, then we shouldn't be having it, right? Then why are we having it?
Okay, Mamtaji.
Does it
So,
mean that we are not changing at all?
So in talk 4, yes, Prabhuji talks about BMI changing, and the real I, who is the Sakshi, doesn't change. So my interpretation of this would be that the disease that's in the body is manifesting as a result of identification with the body, mind, and intellect, and therefore that is persisting despite the physical replacement that keeps happening. The strong identification from a BMI standpoint makes it that it is still prevalent. The disease will still prevail. I would also think of from the angle of karma, the prarabdha karma that takes the role on the body, and therefore that could also be a way why the body has to go through that process. But as Sakshi, we should disidentify ourselves from the body, mind, and intellect, and understand we are the Sakshi.
No, but he says that even BMI changes. So when the BMI is also changing, then how come the disease alone is existing in the same way?
Well, I just want to add that maybe it's the basic cells are diseased. No, the new ones will actually come up from that same base. No, the foundation is malfunctioned or diseased. So anything that's the extension of that would be the same thing. Unless we change the way we think, our habits and all that, that will give a slow, gradual change. Like slowly the disease tapers off. But otherwise, what I feel is because the basic the cells of whatever disease cells or the organ is already diseased, so whatever comes out of it is just because the basis itself is not proper, it's diseased. No, so it's like the foundation of the building is not good. However good the top part is, the foundation is weak, so automatically the building might fall off. So when it comes to disease, because of the basic cells itself are diseased, I feel whatever grows out of it would be same, unless through thinking we manifest differently, our thinking, behavior, habits change, which will affect that organ or the cell, then the change can happen.
No, Guruji says that a completely new organ is formed in a stipulated period of time. New cells forms, old cells are already goes off. So that is what he says. That's the complete change.
We had to ask Guruji only this question because I got the same question when I heard.
A completely new one is being formed. I don't think it will come from the old diseased one. The diseased one will not be, I don't think that will be called as a new one then. If the same thing is being...
No, but the same cell is again produced. No, it might be a diseased or not, but the cell itself is new. Could be a diseased new cell or a perfect new one, but because that cell itself is replicated, another one is formed. So I feel, I don't know, maybe we can ask him, even I'm not sure if that through logic, and I feel that's the way it is.
Anyone else can give any answer. I also don't know. I just came up with this.
Okay. I was hoping Mamtaji will give us the answer.
And I have a great answer, I'll tell in the end.
Mamtaji, as per the genetics, I mean, actually, this is a medical question, but as per the genetics or anything, every cell carries a memory and it passes on the memory when it's dying and it goes to the next cell. That's how all the continuity happens in the body. So this comes under a huge department in medicine called genetics, as far as I know. That's how hereditary diseases are also going. That's how in our body also, it keeps continuing. The whole system keeps continuing.
So you're saying the memory is being passed, but the cells are new.
Yes, cell has a memory. That's how it functions. Every cell consists memory.
Yes, true. Yeah, even I've heard of that. Yeah, I couldn't explain it properly, but this is what I kind of meant. Maybe I didn't explain it properly.
Wonderful.
Mamtaji, should we then take the question to you?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gayatri. And Gomati too.
All
Or
right, then.
maybe Mamtaji, diabetes has a Sakshi Bhava. It won't change.
Yeah, it's not only diabetes, Gayatri.
Yeah.
Because I had the same question actually when I heard that video. I had the same question because one of the person I know have been suffering with one kind of a disease for past 15 years. Okay, when that organ will be replaced, how is that? It's been because that organ is getting even worse day by day. So how I thought, how is that possible? But then this came up where the Chidabhasa, as long as we do not identify ourselves, we carry forward, we take it forward, the vasanas, the samskaras, the memory and all, whatever it is. So in the same way, I thought the cells also will take forward the samskaras, which of the previous things is what I thought. And then I thought, okay, maybe we will discuss in today's class.
So the entire brain dies every 2 years. So all the cells in the brain are replaced, but that's how, that the memory keeps passing on from one cell to another cell. That's how the entire body is being maintained.
Okay, so we will have...
Mamtaji, please check with Guruji and please post the answer in the group later.
Yeah.
That would be great. All right, we'll move on therefore to the
recording
next.
of him in this group for that question.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next question, which has Purvapakshi is Pubalanji and Siddhantin is Hemaji.
So my question will be based on very simple. How contemplation is triggered? Hello?
How contemplation is triggered.
Yeah.
Basically, ego is the thing. Ego is thinking. Self is the ego. Contemplation is ego will be thinking as self as BMI. So intellect want to investigate thinking is called that is called discrimination. How to discriminate BMI and the self. It will comes from the under the influence of ego. Witness will be taken as assistance of intellect to think and assist for thinking contemplation. The moment the moment we receive some input about the true nature of the contemplation, then we'll start the we'll get to know from the Sadguru that this BMI is not we, and we need to practice. We are the Jivatma. Thank you.
Somebody, that's all, Hemaji? Or you want to?
Yes.
Somebody else can add to this to clarify a little more?
No, when we get true information, when we get information from a true Sadguru or the Vedas or something who you trust in, then the contemplation gets started. The mind starts churning, and then because the information you get is from a trusted person, then you give it a chance to contemplate. So that's when it starts. Otherwise, on daily basis, on a daily basis, we never go through contemplations, only discrimination and thinking, ego thinking. So this contemplation happens when we sit on it, and nidhyasanam also happens then. When we get information from someone we trust, like a Sadguru or the Vedas or scriptures, so that's when it gets triggered.
Yes, I think that the question that's correct. So it's correct because in our daily activities, like you said, we are only the thinking process is based only on our past impressions, and also our intellect also is involved in past impression or discrimination, how we take decision. Only when the Sadguru give us the teaching, then you start the intellect is being used in the right way, in the right direction, right? Any other person want to add something more? No, I think it's okay.
I would just say that, just adding that when Prabhuji says Tattvamasi, then we do the contemplation, and the other prayer, which is Nanu Nanin Buddhu Nanala, that also helps us disidentify ourselves from BMI, and therefore we can actually start the process of contemplation.
Okay. And next.
All right, then we'll move to the next one, Preetaji to Gomatiji.
Okay. My question is, this is almost the same as the previous one. So in talk 3, Guruji explained in 3 types of thinking. In that, how is that transformation happens from ego-based thinking to contemplation in day-to-day activities? How is it possible? How is it possible from this ego-based thinking to the contemplation?
Yeah. No, actually, based thinking is, like you said, based on our past background. So that happens on a daily basis because that's needed for interaction, that and discrimination to do something right this way or that way. Should I do it or not? And those kind of basic questions. That happens on daily basis, but contemplation doesn't usually happen on does not happen on daily basis because it needs more time and thinking, and input should be from a genuine source like a Sadguru or someone you trust, or the scriptures or the Vedas, something where you can rely upon. It's got proof and it's been proven that it's a genuine source. So only then contemplation happens. It doesn't happen on a daily basis. Actually, you need time, and it's a churning of the mind. So it needs some time. So on daily basis, we're always in a rush, this, that, and all. So I don't think contemplation can happen. We have to sit relaxed. That's why when you're meditating or somewhere calm, only then it can happen.
Okay. Okay. Anybody? Can you add somebody to comment on this?
So, Preeta ji, how does contemplation happen in daily life?
Yeah.
So this contemplation comes from the word manana. Actually, manana is the second step in the threefold practice that is done in Advaita Vedanta, shravana-manana-nidhidhyasana. So for manana to happen, shravana must have already happened. It could be from Sadguru, it could be from some other guru, or it could be from a book, it could be from a video, it could be from something which is challenging my deep-rooted belief systems. So somebody says, tell me one thought that you have, which is your own thought. So that is something which is challenging my intellect. I start throwing up answers which doesn't, give a proper reply. So these are some existential questions which may sometimes come to us not only through a Sadguru. Some instant might happen in my life, which will, trigger that kind of questions, and my contemplation starts. And to contemplate, I will start going to various sources like Vedas, Upanishads, etc., etc. If I'm lucky, I might meet a Sadguru, and then the real questions start coming up. My inner journey starts. Till then, I don't know that there is something called inner and outer. So that is how a contemplation is a challenge to my intellect. challenging all the belief systems in my intellect. And how do you apply it in your daily life? Supposing you're sitting nearby a river or something, and you see the sun falling there. So the very moment your contemplation starts, oh, this is how the Chidabhasa, the reflected consciousness, happens in our body. And if you see the ocean and wave, your contemplation starts like, okay, this is how the Jivatma and Paramatma, oneness in ocean and wave. When you're cutting vegetables, you will know that, oh, how I am not the doer, because to cut the vegetable, how is my hand, moving, and how are things happening? If I'm seeing a TV, how three colors, mix and form millions of colors. That is how Omkara is coming, Ma, etc. All that is coming everywhere. Wherever you see, you will understand that if you see a cloth, okay, this is not a cloth, it is coming from cotton thread, cotton, and then atoms and molecules. So finally everything boils down to energy. So wherever you see, whatever you see, you will start applying the Shravana part in the Manana part. And this is Manana happens in the actions in my daily life. And then Nidhidhyasa is where you try to, Nidhidhyasa can be with open eyes, it can be with closed eyes also. Nidhidhyasa is where when you sit with all this understanding, it has already a part of it has synced into your system, and then you sit as Sakshi or I am Brahman, and then of course your ego starts the batting part, and you will start doing the bowling part, saying that yes, for all these reasons, I am not all these identities, I am not all these thoughts, I am not all these doubts, and I am just Brahman. So that is how it ends in Nidhidhyasa, and finally you get established in Brahman. So first happens the Shravana, after that the contemplation triggers, because somewhere I have to hear something first for the contemplation to start. Otherwise the contemplation doesn't start at all. So that is how, your contemplation starts. So it's not like directly I'll meet Sadguru. Initially something happens to me. Otherwise unless that contemplation starts, I will not be inclined to meet a Sadguru or Guru or anything. It's called the quest. The quest has to start. So it can be triggered by some incident in my life, some circumstance. So this is the whole process.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to add one line. Sorry.
Is it be in the is it like the be in the present moment like that?
Yeah, that is a practice. That is not manana. In manana, you are like verifying. You're like trying to understand the teachings. Living in the present moment is practice, whereas contemplation is thinking over it and trying to understand the deeper aspects, where some insights also come up.
Okay. Thank you, Gayatri ji. Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Pritaji, I would like to add only one more word. We would have, based on whatever the karmas, the incident occurs, but you would have had a grace, okay? Unless there is grace, we will not meet Sadguru or Guru, and maybe it's also, either your past karmas or the something, but in order to get a Sadguru, if there is no grace, surely we don't meet Sadguru. And shravana-manana, all that happens only after that. So sometimes, the incidents that triggers a lot of, churning in our mind. Also, we should be thankful to that, because only based on that, we start looking for, and if there is no grace, surely, it's, as per my experience, unless there was grace, I don't meet Sadguru.
Yeah.
Then whatever Gayatri ji said is all that happens, but I think, basically we would have asked for it, would have done some good karmas to meet Sadguru in our life.
Thank you, Mamtaji.
Preetaji, did you have any other details you wanted to share on this one? Or are you happy with the answers?
Clear.
All right, thank you. We'll move to Vipinji, who is asking to Gayatri ji the question. Vipinji, you're on mute, I think.
Thank you. In talk 3, Gayatriji, Guruji has said that witness will take the assistance of intellect to think. And this assistance that is taken by the witness is called contemplation. My question is that in the state, is the state of silence when there are no thoughts, is that also contemplation? Thank you.
I think contemplation requires thinking. Otherwise, I don't think it's called as contemplation, because it's a churning that happens where you're analyzing the teachings. So in state of silence, like in samadhi, I don't think any contemplation can happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vipinji, are you happy with this answer?
Absolutely. Absolutely happy. Thank you.
I would like to add that for me,
Please.
contemplation is synonymous to nididhyasa, antar nididhyasa or bahir nididhyasa. And in your question, you mentioned about silence. So it may not necessarily refer to physical silence, like I may not be talking, but I may be internalizing aham brahmasmi, which therefore is the process that will keep going on for me to get to that state. So I don't think silence is a requisite for contemplation. The process of vichara should be going on to be able to settle down in the teaching. At least this is my interpretation.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So with this, we conclude the Purva Pakshi and Siddhantin questions. Everybody has had a chance to play either Purva Pakshi or Siddhantin. If we can proceed to Gayatriji, we are fine to proceed to closing prayer.
Yeah, I've shared the document with Mamta Hegde.
Yes, thank you, Gayatri ji. Do we
I
do
think
in
we can
together?
I think we can ask anybody with the same videos, because if we have repeated on the same questions, because we have another 10-15 minutes of time, because is there anything else from 3 and 4 videos which we haven't discussed today, and with the questions didn't come up, or whatever it is, if any inputs, so that it will be better for us to anybody to add something which we haven't discussed.
Is there any difference between witness and witness consciousness? Guruji uses 2 words, witness and witness consciousness. So is there any difference between witness and witness consciousness? Or are they the same thing?
I think Gayatri ji should be the one who can answer this. I haven't come across this actually.
So the question is difference between witness and witness consciousness. Who wants to take that?
Talk 4, Guruji talks about witness consciousness and also witness. So I just want to know if there is a difference over there, or are they one and the same?
Maybe I'll try to attempt. I'm not sure if I can answer. When we contemplate and when we, as an individual, start identifying that I'm not the body, I'm not the mind intellect, and then you, as a Jivatma, I start identifying that what I am, the real I am, then it may be acting as a witness, because it enables the contemplation, and it's there, the Sakshi is there to indicate the real I. But as all of us, are, the witness consciousness may be playing the role of witness during contemplation, so that we are able to discriminate clearly what I'm not and what I am. But otherwise, both should be same. As an individual consciousness, all of us are, conscious. The identity is we're all consciousness, and we're all witness consciousness are the individual self. But when it plays the role of during contemplation and during these kind of processes, the witness consciousness acts as a witness, so that we are able to discriminate, I think. Otherwise, both should be same.
The inputs from anyone else?
Thank you, Mamta Hagreji. Anybody else want to add anything?
So the witness, I understand, is the one who is observing, the observer, somebody who is observer and non-judgmental witness. And the witness consciousness is that which is not changing at all, which Guruji refers to as the Paramatma. So this is what is the witnessing consciousness. When we are sleeping, there's something at the background. This is a witnessing consciousness. So this is my understanding of what is witness and what is and witnessing consciousness.
Wonderful, Oberon. I think that is the answer. I understand it in such a way. Gayatri, any difference of opinion?
No, Mamtaji, I felt like it's Jiva Sakshi and Ishvara Sakshi.
All right. Mamtaji, are you happy with the answer?
Yeah. Gayatri said it in one line.
Any other question that we have or detail that we want to clarify?
Now, while discussing, one more question has popped up. I do not know if anybody can answer this. But see, when we say it's a witness, it's a sakshi, then if it is a witness consciousness, then it can be non-judgmental. But if it is a witness, the sakshi in the jivatma, then is it still non-judgmental? Because as sakshi, as we say, as discussed in video 3, what Guruji said was, the sakshi will be asked to come to the court because to say what the sakshi has to say when the crime scene was going on, right? If the sakshi was called to say, then it means the sakshi was judgmental. Yes?
No, it's not judgmental.
It's not?
No, when a person is asked to come and talk about the incident, he is just telling as it is. That is why he is a witness. If he is being judgmental, then he is not a witness. Then it's a part of that play, part of that whatever crime has happened.
So Lalitaji, take this example of Nataka Deepika in Panchadashi. So there is a light and on the stage Rama comes, Ravana comes. So it will, it will be watching. Then nobody is there, it will be watching. So for that Guruji gives a word in Kannada called Gottaitappa. So it will be knowing, that's all, nothing else does it do. So there is an error in the intellect, it knows. There is a correction in the intellect, it knows. Intellect is influenced by the ego, it knows. Intellect is now influenced by the Sadguru teachings, it will know. So Sakshi is the highest thing in the Jivatma. It is the one which observes even the I am feeling. So the one which observes the I am is called as Sakshi. You cannot, it's beyond the sense organs. So Sakshi is the watcher, no judgment, and the court scene was given just to explain that the one which is giving the witness is not connected to either parties, neither connected to this nor connected to that. So there is pure disconnection. Hence, there is pure, it's a non-judgmental witness, means it doesn't do anything. In the court, that guy is asked to call and he's called and he's asked to speak something. Here, Sakshi doesn't speak. It's just always, watch, remember the light on the stage, more or less, that is what the Sakshi does.
Okay, got it, Gayatri. Now, because just while discussing that came up, I thought maybe, but right, as you said, the Sakshi is an observer, but again, even the mind is corrupted with something. It is the intellect which has to correct it, but the Sakshi is just a mere observer. So that Sakshi is non-judgmental. Right?
Yeah,
so
the contemplation, the transition of contemplation happens when ego starts, the intellect stops, starts getting freedom from ego and starts moving towards the Sakshi. It doesn't mean that it's talking with Sakshi. Intellect understands that I am just a Sakshi, I am a watcher, because I am not the doer, I am not the thinker, I am not the enjoyer. That's where the intellect starts getting influenced by the Sakshi Bhava, and finally it becomes Sakshi.
It becomes Sakshi.
Yeah, you can never know Sakshi when the mind, intellect, ego, all this stuff becomes silent. Then you will understand that there is Sakshi. I mean, there is nobody to understand also. Even that is a wrong word.
Yes.
Sakshi is beyond experience. Sakshi is a subject. It's not an object. Even the I am feeling is also objective, because there is a feeling and you are able to see that feeling. But the one who is able to see that highest, that I am feeling is Sakshi. And you can't reach there, when finally the I am feeling also drops, Sakshi alone remains, which cannot be, there is nothing else to talk about that. The intellect becomes silent, the mind becomes silent, everything becomes silent. As far as I know.
Okay. Thank you, Gayatri. Got it.
Thank you. I think this has been a wonderful session. We have one question that Mamtaji will try to find the answer for us. Do we want to appoint the next coordinator for next week's class?
So Kaumariji, the one who is the coordinator now can name the next one. You can only name, and it's up to the person who wants, whether she or he wants to take
All right. Gaumatiji, would you like to do that next time?
And we have to even tell the prayer and all that, because I'm not very fluent with the process. If you can give all the prayers and all, what I have to.
That's okay. I think we have the PDF. So yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next week's coordinator is
Kaumariji,
Gaumati.
I forgot this. I think the opening and closing prayers are supposed to be told by the group coordinator, right?
I was ready with it. I thought you wanted.
Oh, sorry. So you can continue with the closing prayer in that case. Sorry, I got confused.
No problem at all. So we will proceed to the closing prayer. Thank you, everybody. This was a very wonderful session. I think we clarified many of our doubts, and we got more confirmation on the talks. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
We will close. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudakshate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Nanu naninbudu, nanalla, ideha, manabuddhi, nanalla, sachidanandatma, shivananunane, shivoham, 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 atmadarshanam, brahmadarshanam, brahmadarshanam, satyadarshanam, अंतर्ज्योतिः बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परा ज्योतिरेव ज्योतिः स्वयं ज्योति आत्मज्योति शिवोऽस्म्यहम्. Let's bless the world. लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु. लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु. लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. ओम.
Yeah, the prayers and all, if somebody could send the PDF, because I'm not familiar with the prayers, so that will help. Yeah.
Sure, we will make sure everyone gets it on the group. I think there is a PDF that's been made, otherwise I can share my notes. Thank you.
Because I am not very familiar with some of the terms. I recently joined, so I think you people should little adjust in case I don't get the right terms, spiritual terms. Okay. Yeah.
We will share with everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Hari
you,
Om.
everyone. Hari Om.